Patreon Q&A number 69. You know what that means. It's going to be a nice one. And I want to thank all 103 of my incredibly attractive patrons. Guys, your support is truly overpowered, and I cannot thank you enough for everything. To everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers, so tread carefully. Free t-shirts asks, hey Shonen, if all the S-Class excluding Blast and King were to have an all-out war with each other, how do you think things would turn out? Love your videos as always. Hope you have a good week. Hey, I hope you do too, free t-shirts. Thank you for the continued support. So I think that if this were to happen, the weaklings would get culled first. Well, you know, the weaklings compared to all of these overpowered characters. So like Tank Top Master, Puri Prisoner, and Genos probably, and as well as Metal Bat, they would probably fall first. Now, Metal Bat, of course, you know, there's so many variables going into him, but I don't want to put too much, you know, on him. I don't want to be too generous with his powers in this scenario. So he's probably going to be taken out with them first. And then it's going to come to like the, you know, the second tier durability, questionably powerful guys like Watchdog Man, Pig God, and Zombie Man. They're probably going to go out next. Zombie Man does have an endurance problem with his regeneration when it gets pushed far enough, and I think that he'll probably get culled as well. And then we're going to come down to like Child Emperor, who's definitely going to have Brave Giant. Then we're going to have Metal Knight. But for him, we'll be fair. We'll say that he just has what we know that he has. So in the data book, it says he has at least 100 of those Metal Knight robots that we saw take on the Meteor. So like 100 of those robots would be pretty good in this battle, but all of them would probably be soloed by like Tatsumaki or something like that. So they would be out of the way. Child Emperor would eventually get taken out too, because Brave Giant can only go so far. We saw how he went against, you know, Phoenix Man. So then I think it would just ultimately come down to like the really powerful ones, of course. So it would be like Tatsumaki, Silver Fang, Atomic Samurai, Drive Knight, Flashy Flash, and Darkshine. And then I think Bang and Atomic Samurai would eventually fall. And then it would ultimately come down to like Tatsumaki, Silver Fang, Tatsumaki, Darkshine, Drive Knight, and Flashy Flash. So, of course, Tatsumaki could probably win this in the end. Then we have to remember that, like, she does have the weakness, which all espers have, of that, like, she can't attack and defend simultaneously. So, like, if she's attacking, then she's vulnerable. But if not, then, you know, vice versa. So, if she can somehow take out Darkshine, Drive Knight, Flashy Flash all at the same time, unless they decide to work together, which would seem likely because she's obviously going to be the biggest threat on the field at that point. Can she overcome all three of them at the same time? Yeah, it's definitely possible, but there is also the chance that one of them catches her while she's attacking one of them. Like if she's holding off Darkshine and Flashy Flash at the same time, then Drive Knight just comes behind her and stabs her up with the Silver Blade, or, you know, one of the others do that or something like that. So I think it's ultimately just going to come down to either Tatsumaki winning, or it's going to come down to whoever wins between Darkshine, Drive Knight, and Flashy Flash. I can't give like a definitive winner outside of Tatsumaki, but if there was like betting odds, I would say Tatsumaki is the favorite to win for sure. And then after that, it's going to be like almost even between Darkshine, Drive Knight, Flashy Flash. Acoustic asks, hey man, what do you think would happen if King entered the VGS machine? Would his luck ability work inside the simulation? So I absolutely think it would. I think if King put on the VGS mask, that the game would already start glitching or something like that. Now, maybe not right off the bat, but as soon as he went against like Carnage Kabuto, I think the game would like start to like bug out and crash or something like that. Or Carnage Kabuto would just automatically be defeated or something like that. Because we saw that it already happened. Like when they tried to load up Metal Bat's Ghost to go against Darkshine, instead they got Saitama's, and then he one-punched him, and then the game crashed and it started lagging and it wouldn't reboot. So something like this would happen with King. Like he would put it on, the game would just crash, and then everybody would just be like, oh my god, King's so powerful that he crashed the game. Barushy Boy asks, howdy Shonen, who would win in a fight between Kendo Rappa of the Yakuza and Meguma Koyama of the Claw Organization? So this would be a pretty competitive fight because they're kind of around the same level, you know, more or less, but I think in the end Koyama would probably win because he seems to be faster than Rappa. And I mean, like Rappa, obviously his shoulder, you know, speed quirk makes him pretty fast, and his punches are obviously pretty powerful too, because the, you know, the damage that he's doing to Fat Gum, anyone who could do that to him obviously means that it's way more powerful than bullets and stuff. But the speed factor is going to play a big, part here because Rappa wasn't able to get over the reflexes of Overhaul, and I think Koyama's probably faster than that. And he's probably just as strong as Rappa, and his Esper abilities are just more applicable and have more of a variability to them than Rappa's quirk overall. And the durability between them, I think, is there's a disparity because Koyama was somehow able to survive like that missile drop that 100% Mob did to him, and I think that's way more powerful than Fat Gum's full powered punch that Rappa took. So Koyama would probably win in the end, but it would be somewhat competitive. Chase C asks, "Hey Z, love the content and appreciate your feedback." Hey, anytime Chase, I really appreciate the support, my friend. My question this week is, what if Bang had arrived later and not been carpet bombed by Homeless Emperor? Let's say he shows up when Garo and Golden S are about to throw down. What do you think would happen if if Abandonment Bang joined the fight against these two? So I think that he would be kind of competitive in the beginning, but it would eventually just get thrown out by both of them, one way or another. Because we definitely see the discrepancy in power between Abandonment Bang and the pre-woke Garo that is fighting Golden S at that point, because like Abandonment Bang wasn't able to vaporize Black S, or at least it wasn't shown the way that pre-woke Garo was. Like, he tore him apart, which is obviously impressive, but he wasn't vaporizing. Like, it's clearly, like, it's made clear that pre-woke Garo vaporized those Black S clones. So considering that he was able to do that and Abandonment Bang wasn't, I guess it means that, like, he wouldn't really be able to compete too much with Golden S and pre-woke Garo, at least not for very long. Garuda asks, "Hey Shonen, who's your favorite character in My Hero and why?" Definitely All Might. Just love that guy, and I know that he was kind of designed to be super likable, but I can't get enough of him. I mean, it's too bad that his time is over and we didn't really get too much of him, but the time that we did get was incredible, and I still like him in his, quote-unquote true form, his skinny nerf form, and he's still cool then, but like, when he was in like, the before he was completely nerfed, man, he was just some of the favorite times I've had with this series, just this series in general. He's just such a great, likable character because he's just so genuine and true. Like, he really wants to be the symbol of peace. It's like an earnest act of him. It's not just a show. He's not just doing it selfishly. He's trying to legitimately help people, but at the same time trying to push himself to as much excellence as he can achieve. And he wants to drastically change the world, which he actually did. And he settled out, and he set out and did everything that he said he was going to do. I love to get behind somebody like that because I want to be something like that myself, even though, it's grandiose, of course, to try to be the symbol of peace in reality or something even close to that, whatever the YouTuber equivalent, anime YouTuber equivalent of that is. But I just really love All Might and just his overall fundamentals and his characterization that comes throughout the series as well. He's just a fully realized character who's like humble, but kind of braggadocious at the same time. I just really like him. Joel P asks, "Hi Shonen, I'm so excited to be here. I just joined Patreon. I am a huge fan of everything you do and love all your work." Hey, thank you so much, Joel P, for the support and the kind words, my friend. Who do you think would win in a fight if Edo Tensei Madara came to the One Punch Man world and fought the whole S-Class by himself? So I know that Naruto stans, I'll say, or just Naruto fans who are like in the inner circle of like power scaling and stuff like that, rate the feats of Naruto extremely high. And we'll get into this later on in the Q&A because I have another Naruto question. But I personally don't, but I'm not saying that they're weak, but I think it really comes from like a lot of the calculations that have made about these things, which I don't think really matter, especially when they're like reality-based calculations going into this fictional world, which obviously doesn't play by the same rules. But to each their own. It really doesn't matter what I say in the end. But I think that Edo Tensei Madara, even with like the perfect Susanoo and all that stuff, is not nearly enough to take on all of the S-Class. Not even close. He could definitely take care of some of the weaker ones, like Purry Prisoner, Metal Bat, Tank Top Master, Genos, Pig God, and Zombie Man. He could probably take care of them, but like once we get to the upper echelon, I don't think it's going too well for him. I think Tatsumaki by herself could take care of Madara. He didn't really show me anything that would like really give her too much problems. Urus D asks, "My question is, could Suibaryu or Hiro Garo solo the A-Class No My Mask? And if not, could them working together as a team take out the A-Class? Thanks for taking the time to answer, and Happy New Year." Hey, Happy New Year to you too, Urus. So I think that it would be extremely difficult for them individually to take down the A-Class, because we also have to remember that the Atomic Disciples are there, and there's so many variables to account for. They're going to be taking on like 30 plus guys. We also have like One-Shotter in the back. So it's going to be really difficult for them to do this by themselves, but together, I think they could get the job done. Because obviously we saw how, Garo went against Death Gatling's squad when they came prepared with a game plan against him, and he was still able to come out on top, despite all the disadvantages he had. But if we're just, throwing Suivoryu in there, Hero Hunter Garo, who's, kind of healthy at this point, it's not looking good, even for 30 plus of these A-class guys, with the support of, One-Shotter and guys like that, and Disciples. I think they could high diff get the job done here. King's Queen asks, hey, Shona, thanks for the great answer last week, and I was hyped to hear you say my username was great. Hey, that's because it is. Anyway, my question this week is, do you give any credit to Metal Bat or Tank Top Master for their fights against Hero Hunter Garo? I know they both lost the fights, but they were both also one strike away from beating him, as well as before they were stopped by Metal Bat's younger sister and Moomin. So yes, absolutely, I do give them credit. I don't discount them for this. It's just that their individual performances, I can't rate them as high as other people rate them. That's the only kind of setback that I give to them. But it's obviously still super impressive. More so for Metal Bat. Tank Top Master, very impressive as well, because obviously he's one of the weaker, if not currently the weakest S-Class hero. I wouldn't say that Tank Top Master was one strike away from beating Garo. I don't think that would have sealed the deal. It definitely would have wrecked him some more, but I think Garo definitely had a lot more left in the tank there. Considering his inherent abilities and his crazy durability and endurance, I think he could have kept going against Tank Top Master, and he would have eventually defeated him regardless if Moomin Rider stepped in. My opinion, of course, but as for Metal Bat, we also have to take into account, he fought 2 Tigers, 2 Demons, and freaking Elder Centipede before he went against Garo, and still was able to do everything he went against him. So, Metal Bat, ultra impressive. He's just really lacking in the skill department. If he somehow had better skill and technicality and maybe just a little more know-how, he would have probably defeated Hero Hunter Garo. Kyle M asks, hey Z, I made a Patreon account just to pledge to you because I love your content and you are the best in the One Punch Man community by far. Hey, thank you so much, Kyle. That really means a lot, and I really appreciate your new support, my friend. And yes, this is the right place for your question. Do you think it's possible that God is not actually a real character or a real being at all? My theory is that God only exists in Homeless Emperor's mind, and when we see his powers taken away, it's actually him just losing his abilities because he's about to lose the fight, and he gained the abilities through different means rather than from God. Those dormant powers were only awoken when he was thinking about killing himself, so the abilities came out as a survival mechanism. We also never see the being that gave Vaccine Man his power, so it's entirely possible that his powers came directly from the planet, not from God. Would love to hear what you think about this. Have a great week, Z. Forgot my second question. Are you excited about all the 69 jokes you're about to get in this video? I was, but surprisingly, I didn't get a lot. Maybe 3. But that's fine. Maybe just people didn't notice the number, but they will now. But anyway, so I would say that there's a very, very, very small chance that God doesn't exist. Now, it's a possibility, of course. I'm not going to rule out that, but I think it would be weird, odd writing from one if God wasn't real, especially the way that it is set up in the sequence with Homeless Emperor. Now, if he went about it a different way and made it seem more apparent that this was just a delusion of Homeless Emperor, and we could kind of get on board, or if it just made more sense to the audience, I would say. Then I would totally agree that it's just a manifestation of Homeless Emperor's mind. But for it to go down this path, I think it's extremely unlikely, and it would just lead to too many unresolved plots and kind of just muddy writing, which is unlikely. It's not like one to kind of write himself into a hole like that if he were to do something like that, or have an extreme twist in that way. But God has to kind of exist because he really connects all of the finer storylines of the story. He has to be the one behind the strings, behind the scenes pulling strings. If you haven't seen my video on the prophecy, Shibawa's prophecy, please check out that video. Legendary says, hey, Shonen was thinking about Overhaul's quirk and how he's underutilizing it. I mean, he can control things most likely at a molecular level, and he chooses to create spikes in the ground and smash people together. If I had his quirk, I would be making people help threaten me dense by adding things to their body and pin them down by creating invisible shields from the air so I can get in close and disassemble people, or brainwash them by changing how their brain is wired. So sometimes it does seem like Overhaul is capable of this, because when one of the first indications we get of his powers, he cured one of those Reservoir Dog gang members of rheumatism. So you're thinking whoa, he can go really far with this quirk. But then after that, it never really goes that far again. So I suppose that this means that he just can't do the things that you're talking about. Now, maybe with more training, more understanding of his quirk, maybe he can get to that level. But and of course, especially if he used Trigger, I'm sure he could start doing crazy stuff like that too. But I assume that like right now his ability can just only go so far, to the point of where we saw what he does in the series. Same thing goes for Shigaraki's, whose quirk has advanced, but I don't think it could go as far as that, like what you were implying. And also, I don't think it's like it's a aging quirk. Like, it's not like a reverse form of Eri's quirk. It kind of just disintegrates things. Mello asks, hey Shonen, what disaster level would you give these My Hero characters? Nerf, Kamino, All Might, and the big three from the manga. Thanks a lot, man. So I think that Kamino All Might would still be like low to mid dragon, maybe more so towards mid dragon. I mean, he's still like incredibly fast, still incredibly durable and physically powerful, just as powerful as any dragon that's not like a high dragon that we've seen in One Punch Man. The only real lacking thing that he has at this point is his endurance, like his stamina. It's just so bad at this point, considering, you know, what he went through, even just going up until the USJ Nomu, and then after that, I mean, it's obviously come down again. So it's really depending how long he could last, but I think he could compete with like any dragon that's not like an outrageous one from One Punch Man. And then the big three, currently in the manga, they're all definitely like demons. Maybe low, maybe one of them could go to mid demon, but considering like how fast they are and their reflexes and then their quirks and the amount of damage that they're capable of doing, especially like Izuku and Bakugo at this point. I mean, Todoroki's not too shabby either, but they're all like certified demons at this point. Mean Priest asks, hey Shonen, here I am again, hope you're doing well. Hey, I am, Mean Priest, I hope you are too. My question this time is, what do you think would happen if Genos defeated Mosquito Lady, and how would that affect this timeline? So this is an interesting question. So I'm assuming you mean like if he defeated her before Saitama showed up. So then obviously they wouldn't meet, and then it's possible that Dr. Genus would take notice of Genos, and maybe he would send the House of Evolution after him. So obviously he would be able to defeat the Tigers and Armored Gorilla, but would he be able to defeat Beast King? That's like up in the air. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Beast King would kill him and then Genos is just out of the story, but let's not say that that happens. And then it would also mean that, like, even if he was able to defeat Beast King, would he go to the House of Evolution? Because obviously he would die to Carter's Kabuto at that point, but let's just say Dr. Genus doesn't acknowledge him. Then we're going to come to, like, Deep Sea King. Would Genos still go out to fight him? If he did, he would probably die. But then it's like, then he's going to die again. So if we go bypass that, would Saitama show up to fight Deep Sea King? Maybe, maybe not. But they would eventually ultimately meet at the meteor incident anyway, because Saitama's obviously going to go after the meteor because it's right in his town. And then Genos would fail to take it out. Then Saitama would take it out. Genos would see him take it out, and then he'd be like, "Oh my God, you know, Sensei, be my Sensei." It would all kind of go around the same path anyway. But it ultimately comes down to how long can Genos stay alive until he can ultimately meet Saitama. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 103 of my incredibly overpowered, awesome patrons. I love you guys so much. Thank you again. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all on the next one.